Hello everyone, Hatter here. I'm joined here by a bird. Yes, you heard me right.
Squawk.
That's a bird. That is a bird. Definitely a bird. But anyways, I've brought him in this VC to explain some things that he's been working on or is going to be working on here in 2026 and what he has worked on in 2025. We have a lot of plans and he just would like to clarify and share some. So go ahead.
All right. So, Ziggy, let's square the record away. First off, by has worked on, he definitely means will be working on. Uh, 2025 was kind of a hiatus on the coding side of things, but we all need a hiatus every now and then.
But you know what,
Anyway,
guys? We got trains. That's all
yes.
we got though.
All right. So plans here is this isn't just going to be any ordinary free drive game because that would just be boring. There's going to be a slight industry system. Well, not really slight. There will be a decent chain to play with. And of course, there will be a small basic economy attached to that. So if you're feeding a one industry a lot, they're going to be paying you less because they're an overabundance of stuff now. So supply and demand will be a thing in how you earn money. And what kind of ties into this industry system as well is the way that I'm kind of planning on having a couple of different playstyles you can pick from, and that will be mainly with mainline operations and switching. So, say if someone picks up a job, and these cars are supposed to go to somewhere, but if they drop them off in the yard of, like, the main yard of the place that they're supposed to go, but there's like separate industry tracks there. They'll get money for dropping those cars off, but you can get a bonus little paycheck for switching those to where they need to be if you really want to. So it's not just gonna be, sit back and relax with the bar in the corner all the time. You can have switching puzzles here if you really want to as well.
Yeah, and
And that is, yeah, go ahead.
and something I want to add too is it'll also provide the need for other roles to be met within the game. A lot of things that will be helpful is having brakemen and fire, not really firemen because we're smaller gauge, so you don't really have two seats, but having having trainmen to be able to help you out is probably going to be a very necessary uh, thought that you should have because if you have some friends that you don't quite like, put them on a Switch and they'll learn real quick. But it'll really encourage you guys all to get together and actually do operations yourself with trains instead of us having to babysit you guys all the time because we're just going to give you the resources to do it if you please. Of course, if you don't feel like switching it and you don't have any friends, the point is you can go and switch it yourself if you really like to. The option is there. Is it going to be slower? Absolutely. Is it going to be better to have friends? Absolutely. For many other reasons as well. Go find friends. I'm not asking. Anyways, you can continue with your points.
All right, so the way this also kind of ties into the actual jobs and order systems as well. And the way I'm envisioning it working is sort of how Railroader handles it, where you'd have to, of course, you need to spot the cars on the track they need to go. That's just basic train things. But in the sense how if you pick up an order, you'll kind of just have that consist materialize into your yard. Um, because I feel like just for ease of gameplay, it would be a lot better for that to happen than, like, I don't know, an AI train coming up and delivering something from the line. Because that'd be pretty annoying to get that thing to actually, not run people off the rails. And if there's a really slow train in front of it, um, good luck. So yeah, I'm not gonna be going with that route, but
And that's when we go with our
base
favorite saying. This is what private servers are for.
exactly. But yeah, the jobs and orders. Basically, you'll get a order. You can probably the way it would work is there you'd be able to pick between like unit trains and just a mixed, like a whole mess of random crap. Because I'm the way I want it to work is you'd have to go talk to some dude in the yard, probably whoever would actually, is in charge of that area and he's in charge of all the traffic coming in and out. You'd have to go talk to him to pick up your contract. And then from there, you go deliver it to where it needs to be. You'd get money for getting it to that main yard of that location, get a bonus for spotting it to where it needs to be. Hence the whole reason why switching will be an actual gameplay aspect instead of just, dumping the cars there, leaving them, they go away or whatever. And one thing I'd like to play around with is, since there will be an industry chain, is someone will drop off a consist, say, I don't know, let's say they'll drop it off at a coal mine. And then someone else, once those cars are full, someone else can now go to that yard office there and pick up a order to deliver that coal to a steel mill or something like that. Which I think that would be a pretty neat concept, and I haven't really seen too much of it in a game before, aside from like games that are like Railroads Online or Steam and Steel, how it would be just you running it, but in this case, you can leave that train for someone else to take as well, since loading will take a minute, so you might as well go off and do some other freight stuff while you're at it.
Yeah, a lot like real life, where you could just leave stuff at an industry and it'll load. It's not going to happen overnight necessarily, depending on the industry, because some industries are not going to produce as fast as others. For example, if you're running milk trains, they would be specifically done in a way where they would be timed missions and they would not be as frequent. It's a high risk, high reward kind of thing, and a lot like other game devs have explained before, it would create a need for faster locomotives that can also haul things, which is partially the reason why a lot of our catalog will revolve around different types of locomotives, and we have so many varieties because of the different jobs we have.
Yeah, and this whole thing, it just got me thinking. I actually didn't write anything about this, but something that got me thinking is, I know we've gotten this question a lot, is why 22-inch gauge? And if I'm being honest, it kind of just happened on accident with Humble Beginnings. And that was the track gauge we cooked up there, and it just stuck, and we're decided to keep it because it is unique and it makes the game interesting because it's not anything like standard or anything, so you'd almost have to go with the in-house build stuff. Aside from regauging 2-foot locomotives, there's really not that much room to have a real-life train on this line.
Yeah, and something I'd like to add too about the gauge is, which we do get a lot of questions about, which is a good point. A lot of people say it's unrealistic to have like just a little under 2 foot. Well, believe it or not, there was an actual 22-inch gauge locomotive and track. Funny enough, by Cagney, that was a standardized design. It's not uncommon for weird track gauges to have been, well, used in certain aspects. Sure, they may not have always been in a formal sense by a business running freight, but that doesn't mean it's not possible. I'll give you a prime example of this. It isn't quite American, but I believe I think it's British Railroad, the Romney Heights and Dymchurch. They served in World War II, I believe, and they did actually haul freight for the military, which is really neat and cool to see, especially since that railroad is a 15-inch railroad. Now, I could have some of my facts wrong, so uh, definitely fact check me on that because I am no expert in that regard. But I remember seeing the railroad and I remember seeing all of the history behind it, and I was super intrigued on having such a small gauge haul actual freight, which is just something that you don't see often. It may be niche, sure, but that's kind of the whole point, is to do something unique. to give you an experience that no other place can offer.
Yeah, and 22-inch in terms of like going like a minimal gauge for industrial purposes is doable because there were quarry railroads that were like 18-inch gauge, which is feasibly, if you're doing any serious freight work outside of, you're just needed for war efforts, 18 inch is about the cutoff there. So 22 gives us that nice, happy, like, it's small and fun, but you can still do reasonable work with it.
Yeah, pretty much. But anyways, let's get back on topic.
Yeah. So, guys, last couple of points here I'd like to talk about. These revolve mainly around our driving system, which, if any of y'all have played the game yet, you know how it is. It works. It gets the job done, but I'd like something a little better. So, ideally in the future, what we'll have is like a partial boiler set tied in with it. So you're not just gonna be letting the bar go and just cruising down the line. You're actually gonna have to tend to your train, make sure you're firing, make sure you got water in, make sure it's happy, and maybe a little bit of a maintenance system in there. We'd have to play around with it to see how you can actually get that without making it too much of a job simulator, because that is something that I do not want this game to be, is a job simulator.
Yeah, we
Much to
already
the
have
dismay of
those.
some people.
As
But
much
yeah,
as job simulators are nice, they can get too repetitive and boring, just like actual jobs. But at least with actual jobs, you're doing it, not just like, okay, I'm gonna click this and I'm gonna click this, and then oh, now this broke. That's just annoying. You don't get to actually fix it. You don't get to actually do anything. You just have to wait, and that's no fun.
yeah. But yeah, like there's gonna be a little bit of a steam sim. It's gonna be enough to be like, oh hey, we're operating a steam train. Yippee. But other than that, guess the main big thing that there would be, trying to think, would probably be a little system I have not really ever seen much on Roblox outside of being cosmetic, and that would be air brakes. Because the way our trains work, we actually do have weight simulated a little bit. Not a little bit, actually. It's simulated. Wait, so if you have empties or loaded cars, it's gonna matter. And we've already experienced with heavier trains that braking doesn't really work.
Not in the way that it
So,
should. Yeah, we need
so
to tie
yeah,
some handbrakes.
yeah, but good luck having a brakeman jumping around these tiny cars, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so what it all boils down to is we need air brakes, and I'm gonna do it. It's been giving me an issues as of late, but I am confident that we can get air brakes done, and we'll have some really interesting operation dynamics with those. Like going down a hill, you're actually gonna have to probably set your air like you would on a real train, and I think that'll just be really fun and add a whole new layer of depth to this game.
Indeed, yeah, and especially the big thing would be your consist, because I mean, if you really think about it, sure, you may have, if you have one locomotive, you got to remember you only have one air compressor, maybe two if you're lucky, and they are not always going to be cross compounded. So the amount of air you're going to be getting through your train will matter and will limit how much you can put behind that locomotive without having a second to help supply air, even if you're not supplying extra power, which is something that I don't think a lot of games really simulate, is like quite how having multiple locomotives can affect charging air brakes. Because sure, if you have a single acting air compressor, you're gonna maybe be able to charge a couple dozen cars within a pretty long span, of course. But that's just gonna take a lot more time, and time is money. You need to save time. So how about we just upgrade the air compressor, put a cross compound on it, tack a couple extra cars on there, you probably have a lot more if you just decide to not hook up some. But at the same point, then you're getting the other aspect of lost potential of braking power. So then you add a second locomotive for both braking power and power itself to be able to haul more cars. A lot of railroads would do this just because, I mean, not only would you be needing a helper to get up hills, but you're also going to need help recharging your brakes if you have to stop. And sometimes it could take hours.
Yeah, so moral of the story is when we get that system in place, please do not block the main and make someone have to dump their 30-car long train that they're carrying with only a mogul.
Yeah,
We
it's
know
called
who
Don't Be
you're
Stupid.
and I think we both know who would do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they know who they are.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say, I might think of more stuff later on, but for now, I think that's really all I wanted to touch on. So if you want to take it over on the modeling side of things, go right ahead.
Yeah, of course, I can totally do that. So, modeling this year has been a lot. I have gotten a lot done this past year, for 2025, and I have plans to even add more in 2026, so stay tuned for that. But currently, we have a roster of well over 20 locomotives in the works, mostly. We have probably about a half a dozen that are currently in game and somewhat operational to an extent. Of course, we're still experimenting with new tactics on how to make locomotives work, and that'll change over a period of time since the game is still in beta. But currently, I do have plans for a plethora of locomotives. Just to name a few, I'm planning on creating a Forney. I'm also working on creating a Northern, which I am probably going to revamp because if you are a part of our Discord, you would have saw that I did start working on a Northern, but I would like to make it more original because currently it's just a Reading T1 at home. And as much as I love the Reading T1, I also want my own Northern. So I'm going to do that. I'm also planning on revamping a lot of the old models that I had made for grand scale that have since been outdated by the scale change that I inquired due to some limitations that I was having with the smaller scale. So a lot of it is just going to be remodels this year coming up, but a lot of them are going to be cool locomotives that I do not get to play with very often, and I'm very excited to be able to test my skills and better myself by modeling these engines. I would also like to create another Malay too, so you can stay tuned for that. But yeah, as for engines goes, that's pretty much it. We also plan on rigging a bunch of engines that we already have finished. I would personally like to see some of our geared engines make it in soon, but that just requires a lot more work than a lot of people realize. So it may happen, it may not happen soon, I don't know, but the plan is in the future they will be added. It may just take us time, so please be patient with us as we work through some issues, because Roblox is not the most stable program, and it probably never will be unless circumstances change. But until then, I think that's all I have, and I think that's all Bird has over here. So I think that pretty much wraps it up for our 2025 devlog. We look forward to making more videos in 2026 and enjoying more of your guys' company. So happy so many of you guys could join our Discord and YouTube. It's been quite the experience so far. So we want to thank you guys for that. But yeah, more to look forward to in 2026, and I hope you guys all enjoy your New Year's. I think that's all.